Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? It's Friday and I'm happy about it. I'm extremely tired. I'm extremely tired, but it is well. All right, so we're in day 13, and so that means we have 10 more days of being in the book of Ezekiel, and it has been a journey, a journey. And I thank God about what He has been revealing to us, what He's been saying to us through this text. We've been really looking at the historical, cultural, and the real life application of this book. And I think it's very relevant, especially to today's culture as well, and what's happening in the culture, especially in the West. I would say in particularly. um, or in particular. But we're going to be looking into chapter 27 and 28 today. Um, and this is pretty simple. I think I'm going to combine the two books, the two chapters together, 27 and 28, because it's talking specifically. If you hear my kids screaming, please forgive. They're playing video games out there. And I think I forgot to tell you that I'm going live. Um, yeah. So these kids and their video games. Anyways, I'm going to be combining the two together as we give the synopsis as we usually do, because it's talking about one king and one king only, except in chapter 28, it starts to talk about Sidon and even the restoration of Israel. But for the most part, we're hearing this king of Tyre, right? And he came up from yesterday. Um, when we were looking into 26. Um, and I want us to really look at this king. Now in the book of chapter 28 is really giving a descriptive description of who King Tyre is and that nation, right? And so God has adorned this nation with beauty and splendor. This nation was a nation that was by the sea, so a lot of people had to pass through them to trade. Um, and because of that, wealth and riches was their portion, right? And there was something beautiful about them. And I want you to go ahead and read chapter 27 and 28, so I don't give out too much about that text. But what I am going to draw today is specifically verse 1 through 19 of the text of chapter 28, because in that text the king of Tyre is is one of the scriptures that we use to describe the downfall or give an imagery of the downfall of Satan, right? He's being compared to Satan in this text. And it talked about the pride of King Tyre and he's being lifted up, and because he has the wealth and he has the riches and he has the beauty and he has all the pleasantries that he has gathered. But the issue is that he compared himself to God. In fact, he said that he is a God. um and I want to continue with that in this conversation, in this short conversation, as a matter of fact, because I believe that as Christians, it's easy for us to look at everybody else that we say is a heathen and point to all of their sins and forget to really turn that finger back at us. And there's this saying that when you have one finger pointed, there's four pointed back at you, or three pointed back at you. Um, and it's true. We could use that in this conversation because, like I said, we're so quick to point that finger, but in reality, we refuse to look at the three that's coming back at us. And we really have to make sure that we are cleaning the or taking out the log out of our eyes before removing the speck out of somebody else's eyes. And it's so easy for us to miss a moment of pride and miss a moment of selfishness because we are so busy looking out at everybody else. And so while God is blessing us, while God is adorning us, while God is dressing us up, whatever that may look like in today's society, because back then it looked like livestock and having clothes, like materials, certain types of materials, and oils and perfumes and things like that. But in today's society, it looks like cars and houses and businesses and followers, right? Social media followers and all these things. That adornment sometimes can cause us to be lifted up in our pride. And how do we know when we're being lifted up in our pride is because we don't take all of those um, things that is happening to us and give God His glory, right? I am only great because He has made me great. I am only good because He has made me good. Without God, I am nothing. Without God, I tell people all the time that I am not this smart. I am not this educated. Even some of the times that things come into my head, it's not because there's this. I'm sitting there just. What can I say? I'm just. I'm sitting there, and I'm really uh, talking about things that I've studied for years and years. I think that's all I could even say about that. But, anyways, we have to make sure that we check ourselves and make sure that anytime that we are doing anything, we add Jesus in the midst of it, right? We have to make sure that Jesus is always in the midst of everything that we do, because it's easy for us to look within and within ourselves, especially in today's society when there's so much sayings that point back to ourselves. And coincidentally, and this has everything to do with the text, so I hope you read it. Coincidentally, um, we live in a culture that pumps us up, right? So we'll listen to sermon and it will motivate us, but it is not really, it doesn't really let us focus on Jesus. I hope I said that correct. It doesn't really point to Jesus, right? So we could go and sit in sermons, we could go and sit in seminars, and they're pumping us up. They're pumping us up. They're making us feel good. They're making us feel like go-getters. They're making us feel beautiful. They make us feel like we're more than enough. We're great, especially in our womanhood, because that's going on now. And all of that is good. But when we leave Jesus out of the equation, that's what makes it sinful. And so we forget that we need him, right? When we are weak, he is strong. We are strong because he's strong, right? And so we have to make sure that we check pride daily, especially me. I got to check pride daily, not because I am uh, walking around because I feel like I have this and that in place. No, as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't really even know when I got in place. But because my nature is sinful. And I have to make sure that I check myself because I don't want to miss heaven. And even though I'm able to enjoy the things on this side of heaven, I want to make sure the eternal heaven, my place is there. And something as simple as pride could give us our exit ticket. And so I want you to really read, especially chapter 28, verse 1 through 19, and read how beautiful Tyre was. Read how much they had, starting from 27, because you get some context from it, and see what caused them to be lifted up with pride and even have the audacity to say that they are like God. And I want us to use that as a reference to never sit in a place where we feel like we're just like God. I can't do anything here. I could study as much as I want, but I can't pass the test without God. I could eat healthy as I want. I could exercise every day. I could eat fruits and vegetables every day and drink my water. But I could never live a healthy life without God. It's because of Him. It's because of Him that everything that has to do with me, it's because of Him. Everything that has anything to do with me is because of Him. Yeah. And I think that's all I'm going to say today. That's all I'm going to say today. Make sure you read your Bible. Make sure you study. That was chapter 27 and 28. We're going to be continuing in Ezekiel. And we're going to be we're going into the restoration of Israel, and to see how beautiful and sovereign God is, that even though He may be in this place where He has to show forth His judgment, but He will always be merciful. And we just thank God for that. And so we're about to go into the next few chapters, seeing the restoration of Israel. And I know that God is going to speak to us in that as well. God bless you all. See you Monday. Have a great weekend. Get some rest. I know I'm going to get some rest because I am tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired, guys. God bless you all. See you Monday at 6 p.m.